I looked at him and I asked him, "Do you want me to validate what you're saying?" And he looked at me kind of startled and then said, so I had a really interesting situation occur just now. I just left the store, was picking up a prescription, and I was in line for the prescription and had an sweet older gentleman in front of me. And then in front of him, there was a woman and her sweet little 2-year-old. Her 2-year-old was coughing, and the coughing was making the older gentleman uncomfortable to the point where he started putting distance between himself and the mother and the child. And as the mother went up to the attendant to get her prescription filled, the gentleman looked over at me and was like, I was just trying to keep far away from her as possible because I didn't want to catch what she was catching. And he was saying it out loud. And in those moments, I was one part embarrassed for the mother and one part frustrated at the man for saying those things right in front of the mother and right in front of the child. What I ended up doing was going up to the mother and just saying to her, I wanted to say that your baby is beautiful. You know, I hope that she feels better. And when I went back into my spot in line, the gentleman says, "Yep, but she's still sick." In that moment, I realized that I had a choice. I could either validate what the man was saying and further embarrass the woman, or I could say something and assert myself. And so I looked at him and I asked him, "Do you want me to validate what you're saying?" And he looked at me kind of startled and then said, "No." And then went on to say, "But, you know, she really is really sick." And he even tried to put his hand on my shoulder, and I politely backed up, and he looked apologetic, and I said, "I'm not going to validate what you're saying." And he was quiet after that. After the lady left with her child, I looked at him and I had a thought. This man is not trying to be intentionally rude. This man is not trying to be intentionally hurtful. Even though what he was saying was unwise and unkind, I still had a choice to treat him with kindness and consideration that he didn't share to that woman. And so I ended up complimenting his hat, saying how I liked it and how it reminded me of a hat that my dad wore. And then we went on to talk about how the man had been to Australia with his wife and Alaska, and how his daughter did photography in school. And it was almost as if the uncomfortable moment had not even happened. It was a good lesson for me. We do not need to look at people in situations like that and say they're bad or they're unkind or any type of label or name. We can look at the situation for what it was. The man was uncomfortable. He vocalized being uncomfortable. It was not an appropriate time. But that didn't make the man bad. It didn't make the man, what the man said and his concerns, it didn't invalidate that. And I felt empowered in that moment to not validate him vocalizing it in front of the woman, but I could still also be gracious and kind. I don't share this to make myself look good. I share this because it's a situation that a lot of us face on a day-to-day basis. So the takeaway from this, you don't have to validate bad behavior, but you don't have to look at the person who is behaving poorly and say that they are bad. You can still be gracious and kind to them. I just think it's important. I hope that it's helpful for you. And yeah, that's all I've got.